I'm joined on the phone line by Matakanya, National Association of School Governing Bodies General Secretary, and Vuyo Mhanga is Police Minister spokesperson. Good evening to both of you, and thanks so much for your time. And you at home, the lines are open. You're welcome to give us a call. Let's start with you, Mr. Mhanga. In terms of how the police interact in such volatile situations, do you think that this disproportionate use of force was necessary in this case?
Good evening, Cecilia. I think it depends from really situation to situation. Obviously, the police, I think the spokesperson of the police in the province, Lungalet, actually expressed that they will have warned, the protesters, basically to disperse because obviously not to ban. Now, I mean, you are speaking now about the issue of banning or trying to petrol bomb, the state vehicle. And actually, that's what we've been actually stressing. The undermining of the state authority. I mean, when you ban the police vehicle, what exactly are you saying, to the authority of the state? Obviously, notwithstanding those police who have literally, shot people when they are actually obviously dispensing and running away. That is the case, a different case that the police must have a review on it. But I think what we need to actually stress is a deliberate undermining on the authority of the state. It can be, no matter how much you might feel aggrieved, that you then start to ban the property of the state, in particular the property that belongs to the police service.
Yeah, Mr. Mhanga, I just want to go back to in terms of how you interact with protesters, and we've seen many, and history will teach us that at any particular provocation, things can go completely wrong, and
Correct.
that if there is no proper crowd control management mechanisms in place, that it could even result in fatalities. In this instance, one person was shot and 16 others arrested. Why is it that the police intelligence is not even aware as to where the threat may be coming from and distinguish that, or rather extinguish that as soon as possible?
No. Remember, it will have been, people who have gathered genuinely raising a very genuine issue. Now, the issue that I'm basically raising is that then there will have been a warning from the police that people must basically dispense, because the police will have made an assessment of the situation and actually make a particular call. And in this particular case, then they actually have to use a minimum force to make sure that they calm the situation down. Failure to do that, then you're actually going to have a situation where you can have actually chaos. And I'm saying to you, if you then fast forward the yesterday's event to today's event, you get a situation where police vehicles actually get petrol bombed.
Yes.
And luckily those people. So those are the situations. So it's not a textbook kind of a situation, is that a situation is presented to the police, and they must actually make a particular determination to make sure that they save lives and save property. And as they use a minimum force. And in this case, as Lungalet would have said, that actually police have used actually that minimum force to prevent further damage to property or to personnel that would have been there.
Yeah, do you think that the presence of political parties as the ANC Youth League and the EFF fueled the tension to the level of the heightened violence that we saw?
Not necessarily. Remember, those are separate issues. Those are political parties that have agreed to whatever that they have agreed, which is enshrined in the Constitution, that they must actually express how they particularly feel. So it can be that South Africans, therefore, on the basis of that, they must be, they must be shut. It's not the responsibility of the police to make sure that people keep quiet. The responsibility of the police to make sure that people express themselves within the ambit of the law. As and when the police make an assessment that people who are getting out of the ambit of the law, they must make sure that they maintain that particular law without suppressing the views, the democratic views of the people of South Africa. It's not the job of the police to suppress the democratic views of people of South Africa. People of South Africa have got the right inside the Constitution to express their political views, to express whatever views that they might feel, including when they are...
So you're saying that there is no blame to be apportioned to the police, albeit that this is not necessarily as a result of any doing from the law enforcement, but in managing the situation, are you satisfied that this is the best that the police could have done?
Well, on the circumstances, as I'm saying to you, they would have made a particular call to say, under this particular situation, what then do we need to do to make sure that we prevent life, we protect life as well as we protect property. Now, that is a situation that the police basically ought to do. Hence, I'm actually referring you to what Lungalet would have said, that we have then used a minimum force to make sure that we disperse the crowd. So that's the sort of thing. You are not dealing with a textbook arrangement. It's an assessment. It's a live situation, and the police must actually make that particular call to make sure that they prevent a loss of life and they prevent a loss of property.
All right, we're going to leave it there. Vuyo Mhanga, Police Ministry spokesperson. On the line, we have Mr. Matakanya, National Association of School Governing Bodies General Secretary. We also have Wandile Mofokeng, COSAS Provincial Chairperson. Mr. Matakanya, in your view, obviously at this stage, it's after the fact where we're trying to remedy a situation, that is already bolted. In your view, do you think that it is either the court case or is it the language policy, the intervention from the Gauteng Department of Education, or the lack of diversity in some communities that has sparked this particular outrage?
Afternoon, Zindi, once again, and all the listeners of ANN7. We want to condemn the violence that is outplaying there, particularly in front of our children there, because it will affect their learning one way or another. And we want to once again call the restraint, particularly from the police, that I think they are really overhanded over our people there who are now expressing the democracy at work. So we want to, but now, one of the question that you have just asked is that it is true that this thing has happened where then the school governing bodies have exercised its right that is enshrined within the South African School Act, and the department also has responded. Then it is now, as I call it now, democracy at play, because the department is also appealing that case. But I think what the call that we want also to make is that really the governing body shouldn't have gone through that route, as much as it's democracy at play, because they are testing the laws of this country. We can't solve the problems, particularly problems of education, through the court in this country, because right now it is a process that is going to take a year or some couple of months, where then the High Court in Pretoria has ruled against the department. The department is appealing that case, and maybe they would win again the suppose at the Bloemfontein High Appeal Court. Then finally they go to the Constitutional Court, and I think at the Constitutional Court, the department will win. So you see that we want also to call upon the school governing body to say, really and truly, let's now learn to start now debating issues outside the court in this country, as much as we accept the rulings of the court. But we are just saying to our members, it is time that we resolve our problems outside the court, not through the court.
Please stay on the line, Rema Takanya. We have Wandile Mofokeng, COSAS Provincial Chairperson. Mr. Mofokeng, thanks so much for joining us. Are you saying that at the root of it all is that the language policy wasn't completely or adequately ventilated before it was adopted, in that, the minority rights, as much as it's enshrined in the Constitution, and the necessity to preserve the rights equally across the board, that it wasn't anticipated that it would create this kind of problem? Remo Fukeng?
Evening to you and your listeners. Firstly, the governing body is the one that is having powers to overruling the language of medium of instruction in a school. Now it happens that at Overval, that the governing body, it is racist together with the principal. Now they continue to even further undermine our people, and this is not something that is starting this year, but it is something that is quite happening for some quite years now. And we've been engaging with parents who are neighbors to the school, and they will tell you that their children are not attending school at that school. Even children of the same police who are intimidating us on that march. But now we're saying that we're going to challenge it until the new SGP is being elected there, and we're further submitting to the MEC that SGP must be disbanded and the principal must be removed, and have an interim SGP which is not racist, and that is going to accommodate our people, especially on the language police.
All right, stay on the line, please, Remo Fukeng. We've got a caller, 011-203-5120. Veli in Mbalenhle, good evening to you, and thanks for joining us. What's your comment or question?
Good evening, ma'am. My comment on this issue, I think the racial issue, the tension that is over there, it has been caused by misunderstanding between the black people and the white people in terms of the understanding the policies and the constitution of the country. Because if you look at the right to education, it specifies exactly that everyone has a right to education in her or his language. So I see the tension there is being caused by people who want to score political points, because we can't say it is correct for those people who are saying their right to education is being victimized by not allowing exactly.
Veli, I think we get your point, Veli in Mbalenhle, speaking to us on the phone line regarding the possible, what could have been the triggers in this particular case, saying that it could have also be political grandstanding. We still have on the line Remo Fukeng and Rema Takanya. The disbandment of the school governing body as proposed by COSAS, I mean, this is a process in itself. It's not something that we necessarily can call out from the sideline. Rema Takanya, the frustrated community is feeling helpless in this case. The Gauteng Education MEC saying that it's very questionable where this SGB particularly found the money to take a government department to court. Are you also having those kind of considerations?
Cindy?
Yes, Rema Takanya.
Yes.
I'm saying the process going forward in the disbandment of this SGB, can COSAS make a call for it, or what is the process?
Well, yes, of course. Well, when people are frustrated, they would come up with the different types of strategies of resolving that matter. It's also going to be a process of disbursement, and it's also a process. But I think the strategy that we are coming up as National Association is to call upon the school governing body to really consider their position, so that we should not have strategies of alienating them and say disband them and all those things, even if you disband them. But I think it is a responsibility upon us as National Association, as community, as COSAS, to make sure that we decolonize some of our people, that they must understand that we are living in a new South Africa. We are no more living in an old South Africa where we have to live in separation. The white people that side, the black people that side, and all those.
Remata, can you just stay on the line, please? We have a caller who's waiting patiently, Zwakele, calling us from Pretoria. Good evening to you, Zwakele. And this is the centenary of Nelson Mandela. He would have been 100 in 18 July had he lived. And the whole spirit of social cohesion and national unity. Do you think that this particular incident remind us of our bitter past and how far we are from that ideal dream of unity?
Cindy, hello.
Hi, we're listening.
Yes, Cindy, we have to be careful when we look at certain situations. There is no country on earth ever benefited from the negotiating government. We are suffering from those kind of situations right now. We have suffered and we have not benefited anything at all. Our white compatriots, they do not understand the word democracy. They do not understand the political change in our country. They do not want to be with us. Simple as that. So we should stop trying to be so naive and say, no, everyone has a right, everyone is a political game. What? This is not a political game, it's a social issue.
Yes, Zwakele, yes, in the interest of time, I get your point. I just, and thanks so much for calling. I just want to pose this to our panelists, whether it is indeed time for the black people, black genius, and, to awaken from that slumber. And how do we achieve that without necessarily disrupting education and also the destruction of property? Remo Fokeng.
Let me comment on the decolonization issue. We can't decolonize the institution while we are having an SGP that is against the transformational agenda of this country. So now it becomes a challenge to work with those people because they are oppressing us, the black majority in particular. So it becomes a challenge on that one.
Yeah, I'm saying, but just generally, because we do see this kind of uprising, if you will, in terms of frustration, the very snail pace of transformation, and how the approach that we're taking is obviously not healthy. We do not want anarchy or having a disruption of systems, as it were. But what, in your view, is something that is tangible that can be applied while we're dealing with decolonization and not disrupting services and education in this case?
It's really unfortunate that we have to do what we are doing now because the school governing body and the principal, they are not willing to sit with us and reach a consensus. Therefore, in this stage, we are forced to do what we are doing currently, and we'll keep on doing it until they agree to meet with us and reach a common consensus.
All right, Remo Fokeng, that's Wandile Mofokeng, COSA's provincial chairperson. We'll wrap it up with Mr. Matakanya, and squeeze in one or two callers as well. The school governing bodies and the lack of transformation there, how problematic or how much widespread is it? Because Werskwa could just be a tip of the iceberg. It's very early in the year. Similar incidents may even occur in other areas. Matakanya?
Yeah, you see, the unfortunate part is that this overfall is not only a secluded matter. You can see all the, if you remember well, Cindy, you remember the Rivonia case more or less was just similar. So the unfortunate situation is that it's white against black people. And that's where it wasn't the situation where you'll find that now the people become so frustrated and they will do what they are doing as it pertains now. And as much as we are calling for calm, at times it's going to be problematic when action like this, then they would replicate things like racism. And that racism is white against black people because, when you look at those 55 children are black children which are going to be discriminated against in that particular school. So, we just call upon our people, particularly, yes, I understand what COSAS is really frustrated, that now white people must start now transforming and accepting that now South Africa is no more the same South Africa prior 1994. It's a new South Africa. We have to work within the laws. We are law-abiding citizens. We are law-abiding country. But we have to work. But when we do those laws, we must not discriminate, and particularly these white people discriminating against people, white people.
Rematakanya, we're going to have to leave it there. We really do appreciate your contribution. That's Matakanya, National Association of School Governing Bodies as the General Secretary, joining us on the phone line. And thanks for taking the trouble to make the calls. Those are highly valued. We'll take a quick break and we'll see you on the other side.